Hey my dudes, it's Caitlin, and today we are going to be talking about Zoom University and the struggles that it entails. I'm going to try and give you guys my best advice. Obviously, it's my advice. It might not be the best advice, but I'm just going to try my best, my very, very best, to help as many people as possible at least feel not as alone as Zoom University can feel. Before we get started, don't forget to check the description for the Small Creator of the Month and the organization/charity of the month. The Small Creator of the Month is going to be Isabella, and she is so sweet. Her channel is going to be linked down in the description. Right now she has 10.3 thousand subscribers, and she works so hard. She deserves so many more. So go check out her channel. And also, I have not picked out the organization/charity of the month yet, so please stay tuned for that. Check the description, it'll be there. Just a disclaimer, these are my own opinions. Obviously, I'm no expert. I am just a college student going through the motions of college online. Obviously, I'm just trying to give my best advice. Everyone's situation is different. Everybody's going through different things right now. I'm just trying my very best to help everyone. Also, I know that a lot of people feel alone right now. If you're in that position or you want to help somebody in that position, feel free to use the comments below as a place to vent, a place to just find someone to talk to. I just want it to be like a loving little support system down below. Also, I'm so sorry about my lip. I hope it isn't too distracting. I can't really do anything about it. I don't want to put makeup on it to irritate it more, so I'm just gonna leave it, and I really, really hope that it's not too distracting. So the first thing I'm gonna do is outline all the sections of this video. Oh, by the way, I do have my coffee. I just don't like sipping it on camera. Grab your cup of coffee if you'd like. So the first section is Zoom University is hard, and just like in general, how everyone's feeling. My situation, how I'm fixing it, my advice for a couple specific things, and then we're going to do an Instagram Q&A where I answer around 10 questions, I think, maybe a little more. So section 1, Zoom University is hard. So this is just going to be a quick little section. I just want to make mention of the fact that Zoom University is hard. Students and professors are both struggling, and you're definitely not the only one struggling. So my little brother came to me and thought, you know, he was the only person struggling right now. Like, he didn't think he was the only one, but he felt very alone. He said he felt dumb. He felt incapable of doing college. He felt so defeated. That just broke my heart, because I know that he's definitely not the only one who feels like that. I even, like, you guys might think of me as, like, you know, this, like, super productive, always on top of everything person. I'm 2 weeks behind in school right now, if that means anything to you. I try my best to keep on top of everything, even when I'm struggling, and for some reason, with everything being online, I couldn't even do that. So I know there are people doing just fine with online classes. I thought I was going to be one of them, honestly, but I can tell you, I know a lot of people in college right now, and I do not know one single person who is doing flawlessly, who is even just having a good time. I just don't know a single person having just a really fine time, like really swell with online classes. Even me, I love online classes, and I'm having such a hard time. So the moral of that section is just that most people are struggling right now. You are not the only one. You are not dumb. You are not incompetent. You are struggling because of circumstance, because of everything going on. So this next section is all about my current situation with school and how I'm behind and how that happened. The main reason I want to share this is because I know at least some of you look up to me as somebody who's like on top of their shit, and I just want to show you guys that even like I am struggling like hardcore with school right now. If you aren't interested in like my situation, the video should be cut up into segments, so you can just skip this segment. But I will tell you guys like how I'm fixing my 2 weeks behind in school situation as well. So I started off the school year pretty hot. I was doing pretty good, on top of everything, had a calendar all laid out for the entire semester. I was really excited to get started with school this year. I was so bored this summer and really just wanted to have schoolwork to do. There were a couple factors I think that played into like my mental health declining, but for some reason, I just had a week that I was very low, and then the week after that I was just like pretty down, not as down, but overall, over those 2 weeks, I completely got behind in school. I was doing schoolwork, but I was not keeping up at all, so I basically missed 2 weeks of school. I was not attending lecture. I was so down. I literally was basically just like in survival mode. I felt so lost. I felt like dropping out. I felt horrible. I did debate dropping almost the entire school year because I was like, I can't do this, even though I love online classes, and overall it just was not a good time, and I really didn't know if I'd even be continuing the school year. But I've sort of been pulling myself up lately. Like, I still don't feel the best, but I do feel a little bit better, like just good enough to like start doing work again. So I'm finally on the road to catch up, and I'm going to now jump to the next section, which is how I'm fixing it all. So honestly, I don't have any secret formula for catching up, but the main thing you want to do if you're falling behind, even if it's a couple days behind schedule, is you want to be in touch with your professors. Even if you're like a week behind right now, let's say, and you haven't talked to your professors yet, go do it right now. As soon as possible, even if it is later than it should be. So what I did was, I honestly didn't email them as soon as I should have. I emailed them probably a week after I sort of got stagnant with all my schoolwork, and just explained to them what's going on, explained to them that I'm not feeling well, that I'm falling behind, and have been keeping them in the loop since then, which has been the past couple weeks. I took time to myself, did some self-care, took a whole weekend off, honestly, just was at the point where I was like, if I don't take time to myself, there's no way I'll be able to recoup enough to catch up. Also, I will be talking in a moment about my advice for talking to professors, so I'll go a little more in depth in that in a moment. I also, as you can tell, went home. So my roommates are amazing. I love my house at school, but for some reason, there was just my room became a little depression hole, and I couldn't do anything. Like, I was in such a rut, and sometimes if I just leave a space, I can like let it cleanse itself, if you know what I mean. Like, I went home because I was getting nothing done, just because I had felt so negative in that space that I was like, I need to remove myself from that space, go to somewhere where I feel better, which for me was my bedroom at home, and try to start off on the right foot there. So now that I'm home, I am doing a lot more work, and I'm feeling a lot better. For you, if you don't have the option of going to another home, let's say you're at home and you don't have a place at school, try switching up where you're studying, whether it's like, you know, move from your bed to a desk, or from your desk to the kitchen, or from your kitchen, maybe you can set up a cool place in like a guest room. Just switching up even this little area you're studying in can help. So I also came up with a plan of action. For me personally, that was literally just making a compilation list of everything that I missed, which can sound scary, but it was nice knowing everything that I had to catch up on and being able to cross/check it all off of that list. But the plan of action actually did help me. That was basically just my plan, was to make a huge list of everything that I was missing. Would recommend making a timeline, but I didn't even make a timeline because that would honestly just overwhelm me right now. So a simple list of everything that I missed is the best option for me right now, so that's what I did. Also did drop a class, which I'm not happy about. It's a lab, and I'd rather take it online. I'd rather get it done this semester, but honestly, even when I was doing really well the first week or two of school, I was missing a couple assignments in that class because I just didn't like the way it was set up online. It was very confusing. Dates were changing for things. It was very fast-paced, a lot of material, and it just was not organized well. So for me, it was best to just drop it. I will say this a million times over, do not be ashamed of dropping classes. I'm gonna talk more about that in a little bit, like what to be cautious about. But in general, without considering scholarships or FAFSA or anything like that, you personally should not feel bad about yourself because you had to drop a class. I personally think that that is a mature decision that for you to make. It is not easy to drop a class, but if you think that is the best decision for you, that is very mature of you to come to that conclusion that that is the best thing for you to do. So I enacted that plan of action like a week ago and have slowly but surely been catching up, and I feel really positive about catching up in general. Now I have a couple pieces of advice. First, we're going to talk about how to email professors, and then we're going to talk about should you drop a class. Okay, so now I'm going to try and give you guys advice on how to email professors, just like my personal advice. So like I said, the main thing to do is to keep in touch. That is the most important thing. Whether you're 2 days behind or 2 weeks behind, get in touch with your professors as soon as possible, updating them on just how you're doing. Be honest, but be vague. You do not have to give a full detailed explanation unless for some reason they ask for it. So for me personally, I just emailed all of my professors basically the same thing, saying that I am not doing well with my mental health. I do not feel well, and because of that, I have fallen behind. So after you describe your situation to them vaguely, update them that you're struggling and you're behind, when you come up with a plan, when you feel like you're ready to catch up, let them know that you have a plan, that you're ready to catch up, and maybe even ask for a Zoom meeting with them. I literally use the same template for all of my professors, swapping out like certain details that would be specific to each class, and I just asked for a Zoom meeting with all of my professors just so I could talk to them face to face. It puts a face to the name that they just see on a computer screen. Or when you do that Zoom meeting with them, you could also ask them to help you come up with a plan to catch up, because honestly, they know the material, they know how long it takes to do, so they could really help you come up with a plan if you feel like you can't come up with one yourself. The next thing we're going to talk about is, should you drop classes? So obviously this is 100% up to you. I am not going to tell you whether you should drop a class or not. If you're thinking of dropping a class, two of the things you need to be aware of are the refund date to drop a class, so the last day you can drop a class with a full refund for paying for it, and the second date you need to know is what day you can drop a class with no grade reported. So you can find this usually on your school academic calendar, and usually this is just something you can search up on Google. So those two dates are very, very important, because you want to at least know what day by you have to decide if you're going to drop your class. My next piece of advice for dropping classes is that you make sure that your FAFSA, like your financial aid, and your scholarships, if you have any, won't be affected by you dropping classes. Sometimes you have to be in a certain number of credit hours to keep scholarships or FAFSA or things like that. So just make sure to call like the Office of Financial Aid at your school or whatever organization your scholarship is through, and be sure that it won't affect that. And if it does, you'll just have to make the decision whether dropping the class or staying in the class is best for you. Now we're going to get to the Instagram question and answers. So I will still be giving my personal advice, which, like I said, might not be the best advice for you. But for questions that you guys asked on my Instagram, if you want to participate in Q&As for any coffee with Kaitlyn, follow my Instagram on the screen or down below in the description, and you can participate in the next one if you'd like. So the first question is, how do you manage getting caught up in your classes while not falling more behind? And this is a very good question. I'm going through this right now, and I don't have the absolute answer, but I will give you my best advice for what I'm doing for myself. So lay out a plan with your professors about what's missing and when you can get it done by, just so you have dates at least, or at least a general idea of like by what week you want to have things finished. Catch up little by little, like do a little bit of late work and a little bit of priority work each day, but prioritize the things that are due that you haven't missed. But if it's something simple like a discussion post on an article you need to read that you can do without like attaching that to the other things you missed, like if it's not correlated, do the thing that's due first. Like prioritize that, have that done by the due date instead of keeping up linearly, continuously missing things. Obviously, for some classes, there's no way to do it if it's not linearly. And in that case, definitely talk to your professor and make sure that they know that you're behind and that you might miss things as well. Like more things, come up with a plan with them. But in general, if like you have to read an article or read a passage or do something that's not completely connected to the stuff you missed, do that first and then focus on the late work and slowly but surely catch up. I know it's easier said than done, but that is what I'm currently trying to do. And like I said, I don't have the answers, but that is just my plan right now. What's your method for studying when severely depressed? Been there, done that. The main way I motivate myself is like to-do lists, writing down and looking at my goals, or YouTube videos really help me, like productivity YouTube videos, whether it's studying or just people being productive in general. That tends to just make me feel more productive and more excited to do work. My recommendation for when you're depressed and wanting to do schoolwork is to try and do it in digestible chunks. So let's say you literally just feel like laying in bed, which I feel like has been pretty relevant for me recently. If you get a little burst of energy and you're like, you know what, I could take notes right now, and that only lasts for 15 to 30 minutes, do it for that 15 to 30 minutes, get back into bed. If you have to, it's better than just not doing anything. If you have to do it in little chunks back and forth from your bed every time you get a little exhausted, that is so much better than just sitting in your bed that whole time. You'll feel a little better, at least you got something done. And when you do study for those little chunks, try to make it as enjoyable as possible. Try to put on, you know, some lo-fi music or whatever kind of music you like to study to. Make the lighting nice, set up shop really nice so you feel comfortable, like with a blanket or with comfy clothes. Just try to make it as enjoyable as possible for yourself so you're more likely to feel comfortable. How to deal with feeling burned out or feeling like a failure. First, you're not the only one feeling this way. I've felt this way. My friends and family have felt this way with school this year. You are not the only one. That is the main thing I want you to know right now. The main thing you have to do is make time to relax, rest, take care of yourself. This is the main way to avoid burnout. I'm very, very, very good at burning myself out. I do it almost every single semester, and I just have to constantly remind myself to rest when I feel tired while studying, to take a break, to go on a walk, to shower, to go to bed on time, because honestly, keeping up with those things, doing small things every day, taking breaks is what'll keep you best from burning out. What classes are you taking and how have you been able to manage them all at once? So first I was taking 5 classes with 14 credits, and now because I dropped a class, I'm taking 4 classes at 12 credits, and it seems like a lot more than 12 credits, I will tell you that. This semester is supposed to be my easy semester. I'm taking ecology lab, biochem, evolution, and an ISS, which is just like more of a literature-based class. My big piece of advice is to make a detailed calendar, and every single time you hear a due date in lecture, a due date is posted or a due date is changed, add it to the calendar the second you hear about it. This is the best way to keep up with due dates. Same with this question, how do you keep track of due dates? I get them all scrambled up. I will put in the eye icon the video where I make the calendar on Evernote. I've also heard good things about Google Calendar, and I think Notion for calendar as well. I can't remember if Notion's for that, but Google Calendar and Evernote are 2 that I would recommend. What to do when you're so behind you can't get caught up? Okay, if you don't think you can get caught up, it might be time to drop a class. I would tell your professors, ask their opinion, and consider dropping a class. Obviously, like I said earlier in this video, make sure you consider and weigh all the options and things like that for dropping a class. But if you really don't think you can catch up, definitely talk to your professor about it. See if they think you can catch up. See their opinion on if they think the material is doable for you, and if not, it might be the right time to drop that class. How to make relationships with profs in an online or asynchronous class. I personally, I don't know if this is normal, find it easier to make connections with professors when classes are online. So I've made a lot more connections with professors since classes have been online than I have the first 2.5 years of school, because I personally get a lot of anxiety about going to office hours because I'm worried about like waiting in the line. I'm worried about having to talk in front of other people. And the thing is, with online classes, my advice is to participate in class if you feel comfortable doing so. Make a name for yourself, participate when asked to, and that is probably the hardest one to do. Another thing you can do is, I've noticed a lot of my professors leave room to ask questions at the end of class, and if they do that, be the last one to ask questions. Wait till basically everyone leaves and then have a private conversation with the professor, asking your own questions if you don't feel comfortable asking them in front of other people. Or you can go to online office hours, or you can even request to have a private appointment over Zoom with your professors. I prefer this option. If you just reach out to your professors and ask them if you can get a one-on-one meeting with them over Zoom, they will probably be more than happy to do so. You can just ask them class questions, or you can even ask them, hey, I want to get to know you better because I want a letter of recommendation. Like, do you have any tips for the course? Be honest with them, because a lot of them, they'd like to know if you want to get a letter of rec because they'll pay more attention to you throughout the course. I got a couple questions about anxiety. So the first one is tips for students with anxiety and how to find a balance, and what to do about test anxiety and feeling like you perform less than you're capable of. So accommodations are my biggest tip for anxiety. Accommodations, like test accommodations, have helped me immensely. I used to get panic attacks every time I took a standardized test just because of the time limit. For MSU, accommodations are done through RCPD, Resource Center for Persons with Disability. For your college, I would look up how to get accommodations, and if you can't figure that out, ask a professor or ask your academic advisor, because they should know how to do that. It might even be in your syllabus and you just haven't noticed. Another piece of advice is, the more prepared, at least I am, the better I feel and the less anxious I am. So prepare as best you can for exams. Take the practice exams if you can. Do practice problems. the more prepared I am, the less anxious I am. So if that is possible for you to be more prepared, try to do that and try to get yourself some accommodations if you're struggling with anxiety, especially around testing. The last piece of advice I have for anxiety is a couple small coping mechanisms. So there's something called a centering breath, where you breathe in through your nose slowly, hold it for a second, and then breathe out slowly through your mouth. This is supposed to like literally physically calm yourself. Sometimes I can feel it like immediately. Sometimes I can't. Sometimes it does nothing, but it's really nice to just breathe deeply in through your nose, out through your mouth. And another thing that personally just helps me is taking walks. It just makes me feel a lot better and helps me just like center my thoughts and think through things when I'm walking around. Not totally sure where I left off because my iPad died, and that's where I have all the questions and stuff, but the next one is, have you ever had the thought of dropping out of college or taking gap years? I wish I took a gap year in between high school and college. I really was not ready for college, and I was just scared of falling behind my peers, when in reality that didn't really matter, and your success is more important than keeping up with people who were in the same grade as you in high school. Like a couple weeks ago, I was like, I'm dropping out of school, I'm done. I can't do this anymore, but I'm glad I'm sticking to it. Just trying to be more cautious of keeping up and on track. There are another couple questions that are similar. How to keep a healthy balance between school and other life things. And someone said, how do you make time for anything but studying, workout, reading, family, friends, time, etc.? I'm not the best at this, but my advice is try to find a trend as to when you are least productive or bored or don't have anything to do and can't think of anything to do. For example, my roommate knows that she works really well after like 4 o'clock. Like toward the end of the day, she just does so much better, can concentrate better. So if she were trying to fit more personal stuff into her schedule, it'd be better to do it earlier in the day before 4 o'clock, because in that case, it won't interfere with her schoolwork, but it will also help prevent burnout and make sure she does stuff to make herself happy. So another example would be if you know that right when you wake up in the morning or right before you go to bed, you just can't get anything done. So this would be a good time if you want to read a book, go on a walk, watch YouTube, anything personal you want to do, especially if you're someone who feels like you can't do anything. If you have priorities like school, that's how I feel usually. Try to find those trends where you're unproductive or bored and plan that time to be the time that you do stuff that's fun, engaging, that makes you feel good. Okay, this is the last one. It says how to keep your mental health okay because a bitch be spiraling. I've been there. I am there. I'm on the upswing from the spiral. And obviously, if you can, please go get help. Reach out to somebody professional. I know my school has like a free emergency helpline right now to talk to an emergency counselor. So see if your school has anything like that. If they have any place that you can get maybe free counseling, because I think that some schools are doing that right now because of the circumstance. And if you cannot do that, obviously try to do stuff for yourself on your own. My previous video before this was mental health reset routine. It was basically just 10 steps, 10 very small steps that you can do at any time just to get some self-care in, get yourself out of bed, get yourself feeling a little better, and you can do that almost every day to try and keep yourself from going down that spiral, and that'll be up in the eye icon as well. Okay guys, that is it for this video. I really hope that it helped someone, that it made you feel less alone. You just got something out of it. I'm trying my best to help you guys. I'm trying my best to catch up. You are not alone. You are not the only one struggling. There are so many obstacles right now with college, with the pandemic, with everything, and I am sending so much love to you guys. Hope that everything works out for all of you. Obviously, if you have any questions, any concerns, you want to vent, you want to talk to somebody who's in the same situation, the comments down below are open for all of you guys. Just try and keep it positive and safe, and we're all here for each other. With all of that being said, I love you guys with all of my heart, and I will see you very soon in another video. Peace out, guys.